Residents in Argentina are struggling to survive as well. Inflation is set to hit 100% this year.
This is the third national strike called by the largest union in Argentina.
Argentina is in an economic crisis again.
Argentina, as violent clashes erupted between protesters and security forces in Buenos Aires.
Imagine waking up one day to find your life savings are worth half as much overnight. Not because you spent it, but because your government just defaulted on its debt again. This isn't a fictional dystopia. It's Argentina, a country so rich in resources and talent, yet one that's become the poster child for national bankruptcy. Not once, not twice, but 9 times since independence. Argentina has defaulted more than any other country in modern history. This video deep dives into why Argentina keeps going bankrupt, unpacking the economic missteps, political chaos, and international entanglements that have turned a once promising nation into a serial defaulter. We'll explore how IMF bailouts have played into the cycle, whether the looming 2025 crisis is truly different, and what it would take for Argentina to finally escape this economic loop. Stick around, because by the end, you'll not only understand Argentina's debt disasters, you'll also see why financial collapse isn't always about bad luck. It's often about decisions, patterns, and the price of short-term thinking in a long-term world. At the turn of the 20th century, Argentina was one of the 10 richest countries on Earth. Its vast pampas fueled a booming agricultural export economy. Buenos Aires was often compared to Paris, and foreign investors lined up to pour money into what seemed like a South American miracle. But fast forward 100 years, and Argentina has become infamous for financial implosions. Its economy lurches between growth spurts and deep recessions. The currency constantly devalues, and international headlines read like déjà vu. Argentina defaults on debt. The seeds of these crises were planted early. In the mid-20th century, a populist wave led by Juan Perón transformed Argentina's economy. Perón introduced sweeping social programs, expanded the welfare state, and nationalized key industries. It was a dramatic shift, one that aimed to lift up the poor and working class. But it came with a cost. Massive government spending without matching revenue meant budget deficits ballooned. To plug the gap, Argentina printed more money, setting off inflation. And when inflation spirals in a country with weak monetary controls, foreign investors pulled out. Locals rushed to convert pesos into dollars. The government responded with price freezes, capital controls, and eventually loans from the International Monetary Fund. But these were band-aids, not cures. The 1980s brought hyperinflation, prices doubling in a matter of days. The 1990s saw a brief return to stability under a currency peg, tying the peso 1-to-1 to the US dollar. But even that ended in disaster when the government defaulted again in 2001, the largest sovereign debt default in history at the time. How does a country rich in farmland, natural gas, and human talent repeatedly run out of money? The answer lies in a vicious cycle of overpromising, underdelivering, and relying on foreign lifelines that often make things worse. Argentina's economic history is a carousel of boom and bust. Every time the country seems to get back on its feet, it's pulled back down by a familiar set of culprits: high public spending, spiraling inflation, and unsustainable debt. Let's take a look at one of the most defining relationships in this story: Argentina and the International Monetary Fund, or IMF. The IMF was created to help countries in financial trouble, offering emergency loans in exchange for economic reforms. But in Argentina's case, these bailouts often came with strings that tightened over time. In 2001, amid collapsing growth and soaring debt, the IMF cut off funding, triggering a full-blown default. Riots erupted. 5 presidents came and went in just 2 weeks. But by 2018, Argentina was back at IMF's door, this time for a record-breaking $57 billion loan, again meant to stabilize the economy. The problem? The money disappeared into a black hole of interest payments and currency defense. It's not just external factors like bad loans or global shocks, it's the internal political climate that keeps dragging the country down. Governments often spend heavily to win votes, then leave behind fiscal chaos for the next administration. Argentina's political timeline is littered with short-term fixes dressed as reforms, while structural issues like tax evasion, an inefficient bureaucracy, and fragile institutions go unresolved. Argentina has defaulted 9 times, but economists are watching 2025 with heightened anxiety. Why? Because this time, the foundations aren't just cracked, they're crumbling. In 2025, Argentina faces a brutal financial wall. Billions in debt repayments are coming due, including obligations from the massive 2018 IMF bailout and restructured bonds from previous defaults. Unlike past crises, the country's options are shrinking fast. Inflation is once again out of control, soaring above 200% annually. That means everyday essentials like bread or fuel can double in price within months. It's not just inconvenient, it's devastating for families. The peso is nearly worthless, with citizens fleeing to the dollar at any opportunity, despite strict currency controls. On top of that, Argentina's central bank reserves are critically low. Normally, countries use foreign reserves as a buffer to pay off debt or stabilize the currency, but Argentina has spent much of it propping up the peso and servicing debt. Some analysts believe the central bank might already be operating with negative net reserves. What's worse is the growing lack of trust, both at home and abroad. Investors see Argentina as too risky. Local citizens don't trust the government to protect their savings, so they hoard dollars, store cash under mattresses, or use cryptocurrencies. That distrust feeds the crisis, making recovery harder. After 9 defaults, double-digit inflation, and a currency in free fall, can Argentina ever truly break free? Or is it doomed to repeat this cycle forever? The good news? It's possible. Argentina isn't poor, it's poorly managed. This is a country with vast natural resources: lithium, shale gas, fertile farmland. Its population is highly educated compared to regional peers. It has bustling cities, tech talent, and global trade potential. The raw materials for success are all there. What's missing is stability: political, fiscal, and institutional. Experts point to 3 major shifts Argentina would need to escape the bankruptcy loop. 1. Consistent fiscal discipline. Argentina needs to stop spending more than it earns. That doesn't mean gutting social programs. It means making tough choices, cracking down on tax evasion, and prioritizing long-term growth over short-term popularity. 2. Independent central banking. Right now, the government often leans on the central bank to print money to cover deficits. This fuels inflation. Giving the central bank real independence, like in the US or Europe, could stabilize the currency and restore trust. 3. Rule of law and institutional trust. Investors, both foreign and local, need to trust that contracts will be honored and that policies won't swing wildly with every new president. That kind of stability attracts long-term investment, the kind Argentina desperately needs. Argentina's story isn't just about defaults, it's about decisions. And unless something truly changes, 2025 won't be a turning point. It'll be another chapter in a never-ending loop. But maybe, just maybe, that chapter could end differently.